Hi, everyone. I'm Paul Playe. I'm the AVP branch manager at Eastern Bank in Westford, also the president of the Westford Business Association. And as part of the Westford Business Association, we're trying to get resources, the financial resources information out to all our members and those folks in town. So I'm going to have each person introduce themselves, what they do, and then we'll get into the questions. So start with you, Bruce.
Hi, I'm Bruce Rosenberg. I'm the chairman of the Town of Westford Economic Development Committee.
Good morning. I'm Peter Milano, the Senior Director for Business Development at the Mass Office of Business Development.
Right. Thank you, gentlemen. So my first question is related to grants versus loans, and start with any grants that are available via the state and if there are any grants available on the federal level.
Sure. So grants are a challenging item for us right at this time. Many of the products that we had ready to go for businesses were not actually available. But the SBA has just recently announced a $10,000 forgivable loan, which in essence we know is a grant that can either stand alone or work alongside one of their other products. And this would be for small businesses in Massachusetts.
Great, thank you. So there's nothing on the federal level for that type of product. Now, where would they find that, Peter?
So all of the SBA products can be found at sba.gov, or we have a link to the state website, which is mass.gov/COVID.
Mass.gov/COVID?
Yes.
Okay, very good. And so what about the what everyone is calling the forgivable loans put out by the SBA?
And this is that product. It's $10,000, and it can go along with several of the other types of loans that the SBA has announced. This $10,000 loan is available to applicants who have been approved for an economic injury disaster loan. It does not need to be repaid, which is obviously why we're in a grant. But the advance amount could be a rather quick, well, as we've been told. Please understand that the SBA partners as overloaded as any other government entity, but they're doing their best. Allegedly, these funds should be very soon. I don't have an exact, or even week for that matter. It'd be rather quickly.
Right. Okay, Bruce, did you have any questions that we could join in on?
My questions had to do with the payroll protection program. And I don't know how much you've spoken about that, Paul, but.
No, I haven't yet.
Okay, well, that's one of the questions that I'd like to ask about when you get to it.
Let's discuss it now. I think this is as good a time as any, Bruce. So what the payroll protection program is, and we in government love acronyms, so the feds are affectionately calling this PPP. It's a loan program designed to direct incentives for small businesses to keep workers on the payroll. Loans can be up to $10 million with a 0.5% interest rate, 2-year maturity, and no payments for the first 6 months. The next question I tend to get is who can apply for this? So businesses of 500 people or less, nonprofits, veterans organizations, tribal concerns, sole proprietors, self-employed individuals, independent contractors. So the big thing there was that the self-employed and sole proprietors are included in this program. We had very little prior to this item that could actually help a lot of our entrepreneurial folks. And as you know, in the Merrimack Valley, we have quite a bit of that.
Thanks. I know that at Eastern Bank, we have designed our own portal for our business customers. And we are actually I was told while the SBA is accepting applications starting today. They're really not going to process anything till Wednesday, and that's when we're going to be submitting via our portal. And one of the issues that's come up is what if you're not your bank doesn't have a relationship with SBA, because only certain banks do, is that you're going to need to go to a bank that does. And because the banks that do have the relationship are going to get the money, and they're going to be going into the account holders' accounts, and there's apparently no way to get to the other bank and get to their account. So it's a process. I think the interest rates changed. I think it might be 1% now. Everything's changing very quickly. When I leave here on this call, I've got an 11 o'clock webinar with our lending team that will hopefully clarify some of the stuff. So I think we're going to roll out something a little different, where people going to do the application. We're going to simplify the application for people right online at the Eastern Bank portal. But my understanding is you have to be a customer. But I'm hoping that changes, because I know we're not going to leave anyone behind on this, but we have to find a way to do it.
So Paul, I have a question. I think you said that it will be Wednesday when the SBA finally begins to accept applications. You have a feel as to what the timeline is beginning Wednesday from when they begin to accept, approve, give the notification to the banks, and the money actually, or the loan is actually approved for use by businesses?
Yeah. I think the application is going to be reviewed and approved within 3 days. I think that's what I'm hearing. And then I think 5 days after that, the money should be in. So I think we're looking at somewhere between 7 and 10 days. I don't know if weekends count. So that's one of the questions I have in terms of, is it calendar days or business days? But I think the process will probably take about 10 days.
And if I could just jump in and sort of piggyback on the point, Paul, my understanding is that banks can be a part of this, but it would be, in my opinion, it would be sound advice for companies to utilize banks that are already part of the SBA system, simply because the banks would need to be vetted before they become part of the SBA. And banks like Eastern, our partners at Eastern and others, are already there and already doing this. So that takes a huge step off of the process for companies. And I understand banking relationships are very personal. I've had businesses and I've had banking relationships, so I fully grasp the enormity of changing a bank. But if speed is of the essence, it probably would make sense to utilize a bank that is currently making SBA loans of any type. Any type of SBA loan has the bank in their queue, in their system, quote unquote, pre-vetted. So I agree with you on that point, Paul.
A lot of resources. The main one seems to be through SBA, the Economic Development Injury Loan, and the Payroll Protection Program. Those two can be found at the at SBA.gov website. We'll hope to get a lot of this information up on the Westford Business Association website in the next day or two. But right now I'm extremely busy with our loan program. We have many requests for the loan. So I think that about wraps up what I have for questions. Bruce?
Yes, I have a couple of questions, I think probably directed at Peter. Hopefully it's in his wheelhouse. And it's from the perspective of the employees rather than the business or the employers. So one question deals with health insurance, that people that are furloughed may be losing health insurance. Some companies are protecting it. And my understanding, for example, is that the federal Obamacare program has some hurdles now in terms of opening up registration. So what other avenues are there for Massachusetts residents to pick up health insurance?
Well, let me start by saying that our governor and lieutenant governor have been very clear. No citizen in Massachusetts should need to worry about paying for COVID-19 related medical expenses. What that ultimately looks like, I can't say at this time. But if we could back up one quick paragraph, Bruce. So the product that you reference is Obamacare, which is a complete federal program. And we at the state, we try to stay in our lanes as best we can. Although through this calamity, we've pretty much had to learn on the fly. So we would compare it to drinking from a fire hose, if you will, because there was nobody to train us. So we've been trying to get up to speed with federal programs. But what we would prefer to do, this is really why Westford Business Association is so imperative to us. We'd prefer to speak with companies before they actually lay off their teams, because the state has a product. It is a layoff aversion fee, WorkShare. WorkShare allows companies to retain their skilled, trained talent and only have to have their teams up to 40% of their time. So what happens the other 10 to 6% of the time is that the people through the unemployment process. It's a really flexible program. And what that means is down to a 5-day work week. Employees, let's say, use the word furlough. Instead of furloughing employees, we would ask companies to put them on WorkShare. So the state would pay them 1, 2, or 3 days through unemployment. They would not go to work those days. The other 1 or 2 days, the other 2 days, if you will, 2 or more, whatever the company wants, they would go to work and perform their regular tasks, or we prefer work from home if it's possible. This allows for everybody to retain their jobs. They retain their medical benefits and all of their fringe benefits that would go along with the process. But the state would take a healthy chunk of the payroll from the company and move that over to the state side. It's an online process. We're signing up more people than we ever thought we could. We have teams that are working. We're working 24 hours trying to get through the backlog of applicants for unemployment, and this would be through that program. So the maximum amount an employee can make through WorkShare is $820 per week, and that would be on a pro rata basis if you broke it down to either an hourly or a daily basis. It's a very good program, and what we're hoping is that we can get to companies and have them not lay the folks off, instead just reduce their pays. You can break it up over multiple employees this way, and this would, on the other side of this calamity, and there will be another side, we will get through this, you would then already have trained people in your queue ready to come back to work full time. There's no industry requirements, there's no payroll requirements. Everybody that works and gets paid and the worker reduces, holds unemployment deductions is eligible for this program. So basically every worker in Massachusetts.
That's great information, Peter. How do you find the information on that? Is there a website?
So WorkShare and all of our products are available at mass.gov/COVID. There's a section for employers. There's a section for employees. There's sections for essential, non-essential businesses, which my team and I have worked many, many hours to create a list and frequently asked questions so that companies can look in and say, gee, well, we fit in this bucket. We can continue to operate as long as we properly socially distance. So that it's really a very intuitive website. I have to say the state oftentimes has confusing websites, but this website has been well done. It's prepared for the traffic that it's getting, hasn't crashed, knock on wood, and it's moving along. So I would suggest any information that a constituent may want is at the mass.gov/COVID. However, Paul, Bruce, any of your constituent businesses can reach out to me. You have my email address, you have my mobile phone number. And it doesn't matter if it's Friday night, if it's Saturday morning, Sunday morning, this is all hands on deck all the time. So we are trying hard to work with your companies, understanding that there's going to be some odd hours and odd requests. And we're trying to, at least have answers. It won't always be the answer your constituent business wants, but we will get the answer.
That's excellent. And we'll get that information out as well. So thank you. Bruce?
No, I think that covers it, except for maybe one other question. So, Peter, are we able, with this surge in unemployment applications, are we able to still process it within a reasonable time frame as what people were used to before this?
Well, Bruce, it's funny. I get asked that question a lot. And if you're laid off, there's no reasonable time frame. It needs to happen that quickly. So I sympathize and I have compassion with folks in our society, in your community, in my community. I have friends that have been sent home with no pay. So we're dealing with this on a professional level and a personal level and a compassionate level. There's no right amount of time. We are definitely getting caught up. But just to understand that we've been getting over 20,000 claimants a day. In the month of February, before this all hit, which was really the only month we have 29 days to compare this to, we got less than 18,000 claimants in the whole month. So it's been quite difficult. Our partners at unemployment are working now around the clock. The Secretary of Labor and Workforce Development is a Merrimack Valley person. Her name is Rosalind Acosta. She's great. Secretary Acosta has been very, very visible through this, understanding that there's challenges hurdles, I should say, we've been trying to find our way through. We could not have predicted this type of unemployment response, but we are getting beyond it. It's we're as agencies, we're lending labor to unemployment at the state, and they're getting trained. In fact, there's a large training class going today with many people who work for the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development, taking that training so that they can process unemployment claims. So it's a long way of saying, I don't think we're good enough yet, but we are getting there. And just if you ask the claimant, nothing's good enough. The second that they hit the send on their computer, they feel like they should be signed up for unemployment, which is how it used to be. It was an instantaneous system. And quite frankly, hasn't completely been that way, but the team over there is going to make it that way.
That's good, Peter. Go ahead, Bruce.
This is excellent information, and I was going to say that at this particular state of affairs, right now, I think the critical thing that we can do, that we are doing, is get this information out and communicate it, and then circle back when we inevitably get out of this and mode of resurgence and revitalization.
Yeah. So, Paul, if I might take a moment, looks like we're coming towards the end of our time on CAT. But let me just say that as an agency within the state, the Mass Office of Business Development is a very small agency. We have 11 people, 10 and a half employees, actually. And what we've done in the last couple of weeks, we've categorized over 4,000 individual requests to see if the company was either essential or non-essential. We feel like we've got that process going. There is a frequently asked questions document on our website, mass.gov/COVID, and companies can view that document. We update it constantly to see if they should be or can be operating as long as they can safely socially distance. That's one thing. Secondly, my team and I, we reached out to every city or town in the state. Every city or town, including Jody Ross, received an email or a call from one of the people on my team. That's 351 cities and towns, including Devon's, which makes it 352. And we did that all within a week. And we've got a great response. Once again, I say, we don't have all the answers, but we're in this with you. So if you have issues, challenges, concerns, please bring them to us. We have, we may not have the answer on the spot, but we will get it and understand that the answer may not always be the one that we were hoping to get to. And then the last piece is what we're doing this week is we're doing webinars and Zooms and on a much more freer basis. As you guys know, previously it would always have to be cleared with the governor's press team and would be very cautious about the message that we're putting out on the street. But right now, the whole team is participating in WebEx's, Zooms, conference calls. This week, we've reached out to as many business partners as we could find, including the Westford Business Association. You're one of them, and we'll document that on a list. And we're saying to the business associations, we're here. You know our numbers. You know our mobile phone number. You know our email address. If any of your constituent businesses should need assistance, we will work to assist. Once again, might not be the answer the business wants and is hoping for, and that's quite frankly happened way too frequently in the last 4 weeks. We're used to getting to a successful resolution,
right?
And it just hasn't been easy. My team has been resilient and hardworking. They're working 12+ hour days, which we're not complaining. That's just how many businesses we have in this state. Businesses, business partners, municipalities. We're doing the outreach. We're doing the WebExes. We're trying to be accessible. So I thank you for the opportunity for allowing me to be accessible to your constituents and your community.
Well, thank you to you and all your team, Maria, everyone there has been great. If anyone has any questions, again, we'll be publishing everything, and you guys are doing a fantastic job, and we've got some great information today. And
thank you, Peter. Thank you, Maria.
I can't thank you enough.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. All right, thank you. That wraps us up, and we'll see you next time. Bye.